Okay, so y'all heard a whole lot about Oakland, a little bit about Hayward, a little bit about San Francisco, but I come from this town called Vallejo, the Valley Joe, right? We only got 7 exits. We a small city, right? And we heavily influenced by Oakland, Richmond, and we come up in the era of Reagan and cocaine. So that we was heavily influenced by D boys. We was fascinated by when they, the cars that they was driving, the gold ropes, the Fila sweatsuits and shit like that. That's what I was seeing at like 15 years old. Also, a lot of y'all probably don't know. I mean, well, they probably know about that, but we had a cousin out of Oakland named Ivory, and he kept us with the old white Too Short tapes, where he sometimes even had rap battles with people like Tony G or Rasta Reek from Vallejo. So yeah, nigga, your G stands for girl. Yeah. Well, anyway, we was influenced by all that. Actually, as a youngster, me, D-Shot, Sugar, we was all in church. We actually played drums and doing things like that in church and heavily influenced by our grandfather. And we had an uncle by the name of St. Charles who did gospel records. So, and on top of that, we had a lot of people that sang, you know what I'm saying? So the music aspect of it was already being done. St. Charles had already released records, and we had no idea that we was gonna be rappers. Me and D-Shot, D-Shot actually went down to the Radio Shack and got the realistic mixer and turntable, and we called ourselves doing little house parties. The main thing that you had to have back then was a Friends instrumental. And if you had a Friends instrumental with a little reverb on the on the mixer, yeah, you can on the microphone. You can throw your own house parties, and then they had these little square things. I don't know what they was called. They was like electronic drums and shit. We had all that shit. So during those times, we was watching the game, and it was getting underway. The real game, you know what I'm saying, it was getting underway. But at that time, me and 40. We was working in D-Shop. We was working at the Commandant's Residence. At the Commandant's Residence, a restaurant, nigga. And we had to go all across America to cash our checks because the motherfuckers would bounce. But anyway, we was working at the residence, and we was chefs and cooking. And then, yeah, for sure. That's why 40. All that shit come back to you, you know what I'm saying? Don't think that anybody that's out there got a job cooking, doing all that type of shit, that shit come back. You know what I'm saying? It come back. Them skills that you can go back and use later in life. You know what I'm saying? Lifetime skills. So we learned them skills. And then we decided to go to college. You know what I'm saying? And when we went to college, we met this dude from Oakland. His name was Waldo Bensworth. He was a rapper. Knowledge Me on Me. You remember Knowledge Me on Me? That was an instrumental. So we got together one day and did like Short said. We had a double cassette though, where you play the music on this side and record on this side. And we did. We rapped the alma mater of Grambling State University. People liked it so much, we turned around and we performed it in the Spring Talent Show, and the crowd went crazy. Everybody, we became instant celebrities on campus. Everybody wanted to take us home, and we was the shit. So when we got back from Grambling,
hey, if we could just listen to him a little bit, please. If we can keep it down a little bit, please.
When we got back from Grambling, we got back and we got with D-Shot and Sugar T, and we felt like we wanted to do music. You know what I'm saying? Do the right music. So what we did an album called MVP, which had what you call radio type of versions. 40 had a song called Thought I Could Trust a Girl, which we had did with Confunction. You can chime in anytime you want, D-Shot. We're going to do this one together.
All right, well, check this out. Okay, let me stop you right here then.
Go ahead.
All right, so at the time, Short used to be in Vallejo all the time too, y'all. All the time. We used to be at a park called Dan Foley. We seen him all the time. But, you know, we was on the streets. We was doing things on the streets, and it wasn't cool. You know what I mean? And one time my uncle, St. Charles, came to my house. I'm in there, you know, whipping up things, doing things I had no business doing. And he got on my head. He was like, bro, what you gonna do? You gonna go to jail or you gonna do something else, man? I think you're gonna go to jail. You gonna fuck around and, and get caught up like that dude out of Oakland. He's talking about Lil D. You know what I mean? And I asked him, because I knew he made a record in the 70s, which is St. Charles. He made a record in the 70s. I asked him, I said, look here, man. Can you help us get off the streets? He was like, man, I'm a reverend. I can't do this kind of music right here. I'm like, but bro, if you're a reverend, you should be able to help people that's out there doing hard-headed stuff, right? And he got quiet. You know what I mean? He had to answer up to that. And so, and he was like, well, it costs a lot of money to make a record. I said, man, don't worry about that. I got that. So I ran the room, pulled out a duffel bag full of money, like, here. What's your excuse now? What's your excuse now? He was like, all right, man, check this out. I'm gonna go talk to my wife about this, and I'm gonna come back in 2 weeks to the house. So he came back in 2 weeks, and he was like, let's go get our business license. So I want to give a props up to his wife, because she didn't deter him from doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people don't know St. Charles is one that really shaped a lot of this independent music in the whole Bay Area. Everybody went through St. Charles that was about making money. They went through him.
That's where Master P come from.
So it was D-Shot with the gift of gab that talked him into, you know what I mean, changing his tune and coming along with us all the way in this music industry. And so once we talked him into it, we went down to the studio, which is Felton Pilot and them had a studio on Sonoma Boulevard, where Hammer recorded at. Everybody recorded there.
First we seen Hammer down there, and he was down there in all kind of Porsches and Benzes and stuff, and we was like, man, we gonna go down there. We gonna wait till his car ain't there. We gonna go knock on the door. So we went down there. We knocked on the door, and who was it? James.
It was James Early and Felton Pilot from Confunction.
James Early and Felton Pilot of the Confunction answered the door and invited us in and asked us what we wanted to do. And that's when we made our first record, MVP.
Man, me and Billy just dropped that money down like it was hot. Like it was hot. And history was made from there, right there.
But I'm going to tell y'all what happened, though. We took the MVP record and we went to a record pool. I don't know what the record pool was.
The Pros.
The Pros record pool. Man, they played our record, and then we was in there, and somebody was sitting at the table, or somebody came in there, and they didn't know that we was the artists. And they said, man, that record was whack. They said, that dude 40 sound like Woody Woodpecker on crack.
That was Scott Gordon.
Yeah. It was like
that was Scott Gordon.
It was like, man, it was whack, right? So, 40 took that to heart. He was like, all right. So from that day on, we said no more Mr. Nice Guy. That's when he came to Mr. Flamboyant, and that's when we came with the Click. And no more MVP. We came with the Click, and that's with List Side. That's when you seen the Vogue with the Zenith on the cover, with the money around it, letting you know that it's game on.
Hey everybody, just a reminder, we got the History of the Bay Dregs One official Patreon going, where you can sign up and get all early access to every podcast episode, bonus content. You can help guide the direction of this podcast. Shout out to Skylar Woods, especially he joined at our tycoon status, and everybody else that's been signing up. Go check out the Patreon. The link is in the description.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.